The X generation. Seems maybe we are all now surplus to requirement, unless you can generate the money or something else they can take from you while you are alive, and even making use of you afterwards in various forms, being viewed as a product and a commodity, and being treated as such as discussed in The Mark of the Beast, with special programs, regimes and systems to facilitate that being a smooth process for the most part, but where you would have factories, warehouses and farms for animals and general food processing. Scale that idea up for humans. Institutions, laws and society as a whole being the barriers to our freedom. The Beautiful Mice took a look at how the process has been tried and tested on animals, and in a zoo, as well as farming but not as you might think. I've already noted comparisons to our animal counterparts in this, and how we are trained to view them as different, and it's necessary, just as the wardens of society probably do towards us. We had been split into groups by way of social status, age, training, colour, etc., but for a formatted setup. Now those parameters are being redefined somewhat, with more of a monolithic attitude emerging. A homogeneous pot of stock and supply you can dip into when needed, making me feel perhaps we are already in those warehouses for the living dead, but because it doesn't look like a warehouse, and we aren't unconscious, it's not entirely noticeable. With our previous divisions, categories and sections of Gen X, Gen Z, Millennial, Boomers, Alphas, and more being further separated and allocated new lines of social direction. A lost generation, but all of us, in the same ocean of weirdness, but in our own little boats being dragged along with the dark undercurrent. And it does seem as though a storm is being created around us, so we can be cast off and away into the choppy vortex to struggle and drown, while they watch from just over there, with life rafts and safe ground just out of reach, knowing that if you do survive, it will be in a deserted state and treated as driftwood might be, overlooked or chucked on the fire if decided as a final purpose. But although we are being treated as though we have served our initial purpose, our time is not quite up. And although I believe we are not obsolete, many others seem to have a very different view of the general population and society as a whole, with a need to steer and dictate where they would like it to go, herding people to where they want them to be and what they want them to do, using people's skills when needed and then using their weaknesses and vulnerabilities against them, with some laws and regulations to make sure people comply. Pretending they want people to be happy and content is no longer an illusion they are portraying, and the new one of steamrolling and vilifying anyone who gets in their way and taking everything you have is the new backdrop to life they are shooting for, with everyone being cast aside for the weird new world and new breed they would like, with us all being part of the X generation. And I can't help wondering whether X marks the spot will be more relevant than we think.